Chapter 1919, Test. Fatty Sue came to Zhang Yi, his face still flushed, looking like a fat slob, which was really infuriating. "What's wrong with you?" Zhang Yi asked unkindly. Fatty Sue smiled. "Hey, boss, I need to trouble you with something. A young person has arrived from Xinjiang, and they want her to be a diplomat to facilitate communication between the two sides in the future. You see." As soon as he used the word "you," Zhang Yi knew that something was up. But Fatty Sue was too easy to read, with all his thoughts written on his face. It was obvious that the person he was talking about was that little Nan Liang. As the saying goes, when a man gets horny, women are out of the picture. Even Zhang Yi had to admit that Liang Yang was indeed beautiful and had a charm that ordinary women didn't have. Of course, he was a straight man and kept his thoughts about this type of person at a distance. But who was Su Chunlei? He was a veteran of the second dimension, had been deeply involved in otaku culture for 30 years, had played through the 12 divine weapons and 12 demon weapons dozens of times, and was well versed in all kinds of fan culture. So, relatively speaking, it was not difficult for him to accept. Fatty Sue looked at Zhang Yi with a hopeful look on his face. He didn't think it was a big deal. After all, Zhang Yi had already asked for Liang Yang before, but Fatty Sue had been too embarrassed to ask at the time. So now that he wanted her, it definitely wouldn't be difficult. However, Zhang Yi didn't think so. "It's not the same thing to ask for her myself as it is for you to send her over." He narrowed his eyes and pondered the other party's intentions. The conversation with Ho-Tu had not been pleasant. The Xinjiang region was eager to establish a deep cooperation with Zhang Yi because they saw his value. He was becoming more and more powerful, and he had a strong force of mutants that was not under the jurisdiction of other regions. On the other hand, it was difficult for Ho-Tu to leave Xinjiang to operate abroad. Therefore, establishing a good relationship with Zhang Yi was of great significance to the Xinjiang region. On the other hand, the Xinjiang region definitely wanted to find out Zhang Yi's secrets from him. Zhang Yi was not a madman, and Meng Yuanjun knew that he would not kill the person he sent. Sending Liang Yang would give him a chance to whisper in Zhang Yi's ear. If a conflict really broke out between the two sides, he could mediate. They would only lose a high-ranking Delta officer, but the gains would be enormous. No matter how you looked at it, it was a good deal. Zhang Yi did not directly answer Fatty Sue's question. He just glanced at the fat man who had been by his side for 3 years and asked with a smile, "What do you think?" Fatty Sue was taken aback for a moment and shook his head with a silly smile. "Of course you know, boss." But he immediately said in a serious tone, "However, as long as you don't give your approval, I won't allow her to come over." Zhang Yi asked with a smile, "Do you like her very much?" There was some malicious fun in this for Zhang Yi, because he was a straight man and couldn't understand this kind of preference. Fatty Sue was a little uncomfortable with Zhang Yi's gaze. "Boss, why are you looking at me like a pervert? If I like her, then that's obvious. Even someone like me can tell how she feels about me after spending time with her every day. One's appearance reflects one's character, and with Liang Yang's beauty and her personality, even if they could only communicate through their minds, she would still be able to make Fatty Sue fall head over heels in love with her." Zhang Yi had no doubt about that. Fatty Sue's appearance might be considered extremely handsome in the eyes of certain groups of people. In Liang Yang's eyes, he was probably Wu Yanzu. Zhang Yi nodded. "Since you've made up your mind, then let her come over. But let me make it clear first, she can only live on the 2nd floor of Tianhai Fortress. No matter what she has, once she arrives, let young Shinshin shoot her with an arrow first. If she really has ulterior motives." Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes and sneered inwardly. He naturally had ways to let Fatty Sue see through her true nature, and then let Fatty Sue take care of her. But if she was sincere, Zhang Yi would sincerely wish Fatty Sue happiness. Zhang Yi agreed so readily that Fatty Sue was so excited that he wanted to fly over, hug his thigh, and cry with joy, but Zhang Yi anticipated his move and kicked him away with one kick. "Sorry, now and in the future, please keep a certain distance from me. It's best if there is no physical contact." Zhang Yi dusted off the imaginary dust on his body. Perhaps what he was dusting off was not dust, but the scent of their contact information. He had to prevent this from happening, lest this kid really be turned by Liang Yang and then harm others. Fatty Su looked wronged and nodded with tears in his eyes. But soon, he happily climbed up and sent the good news to Liang Yang. Seeing this, Zhang Yi suddenly had a strange thought. Hey, Fatty. Have you ever considered letting her get surgery? That way, your problem would be solved. Fatty Su glanced at Zhang Yi, his eyes full of gloating. It was as if he was saying, sure enough, people with a fulfilling life are so ignorant. Zhang Yi was furious. Damn, I'm being looked down on by a die-hard otaku. You better explain yourself. Zhang Yi made a move to hit him, and Fatty Su shrank his neck. No, I'll tell you, okay? Big brother. You have to understand that beautiful women are a dime a dozen, but a beautiful girl like Nan Liang is hard to find anywhere in the world. Zhang Yi's face twisted into a grimace. I really don't understand, what the hell, get lost. Zhang Yi pushed Fatty Su away, not wanting to be contaminated by his gay energy. Fatty Su happily hummed a song as he went back to change his clothes and wait for Liang Yang's arrival. Zhang Yi and the others would be leaving for the Sahara Desert tomorrow, so that night, AF-37 flew directly from Xinjing City to Tianhai City. The plane landed near Tianhai Fortress, which was now surrounded by a large city. It wasn't very big, covering an area of less than 10 kilometers, with Tianhai Fortress at its center, where tens of thousands of people had built a town. Zhang Yi sat in the garden and called Yang Shinshin over. A mere Liang Yang wasn't worth him going to greet her personally. When Yang Shinshin arrived, Zhang Yi said, Xinjing sent someone over, the one who charmed Fatty Su. Take her over there later and shoot her with an arrow. Remember to do it behind Fatty Su's back and save him some face. If they really are using him, at least he won't have his heart broken. Yang Shinshin sat next to Zhang Yi and said, an undercover agent? Meng Yuanjun and Hota shouldn't be that stupid. Zhang Yi smiled lightly, the most deadly wind in this world is pillow talk. No matter what her purpose is, you'll find out once you interrogate her. Even a well-trained agent couldn't withstand Yang Shinshin's arrow, because it was a change in cognitive ability, not a simple technique like hypnosis. As Zhang Yi said this, he glanced out of the corner of his eye and saw Fatty Su wearing a set of clothes he had never seen before, happily running outside. It seemed to be a Zelda-themed outfit, which looked festive but a little childish. Fatty Su had also combed his hair to look like an adult, using at least 5 pounds of hair wax. It was already greasy enough, but now it's even greasier. Yang Shinshin also said with emotion, yeah, how could anyone like this guy? Soon after, the man and woman who liked this guy were brought over by Fatty Su. As usual, they had to pay their respects to Zhang Yi first. When Liang Yang saw Zhang Yi, she smiled gracefully and bowed her head. Lieutenant Colonel of the Dragon Guardians, Liang Yang, Blue Bird, greets Your Excellency Chaos. Zhang Yi nodded and asked with a smile, you must have been sent here with a message from the higher-ups, right? He looked at Fatty Su and said, Tianpeng, you can leave first. We have military matters to discuss. Fatty Su nodded repeatedly, oh, okay. He was indeed very gullible and believed everything Zhang Yi said, so he hurriedly ran back. Liang Yang looked at Zhang Yi and opened her mouth to say something. Zhang Yi raised his hand to stop her. Wait a moment. In the next moment, a black smoke rose from beside Zhang Yi and turned into a huge dark cloud. Under the dark cloud, a broken and stitched angel appeared. Its eyes were covered with black cloth, its mouth was open, and it looked like it was in pain and wailing, but its tense arms were bulging, and its tough muscle fibers were clearly visible. The huge angelic bow opened, aimed at Liang Yang, and shot an arrow. Liang Yang's eyes widened, and the arrow shot straight into her chest. I deliberately slowed down, she could have dodged it. Yang Shinshin said indifferently. There's no point in dodging, she's very smart. Zhang Yi crossed his legs and looked indifferently at Liang Yang in front of him. Tell us, what exactly is your purpose here? Liang Yang stood in front of Xang Yi and Yang Shinshin with a smile and said, "I want to be closer to Chunlei." She sighed. "Xinjing is a very boring place. Cold, I don't mean the weather, but the coldness of people. In that city, no one understands me." When she said this, a look of loneliness flashed in her eyes. "Especially every time I go to the bathhouse, I have to endure the cold stares and criticism of others. I want to go to the men's bathhouse, but they won't let me. I want to go to the women's bathhouse, but then people say I'm a hooligan. I'm really sick of this life." Zhang Yi nodded, but then waved his hands repeatedly. We don't care about your lifestyle here. I just want to ask you what your purpose is for coming here. Besides Su Chunlei, what other reason could there be?" Liang Yang blinked her eyes. "I'm a soldier. My superiors told me to come, so I came." "Okay, I'll ask you a simple question. Before you came, did they give you any tasks?" Liang Yang nodded frankly. "The main task is to build a relationship with the Chaos team, establish a deep friendship with you, and then put in a good word for the Xinjing region to eliminate the barriers between the two sides." Zhang Yi stared at Liang Yang, but she kept her mouth shut. "Zhang Yi, Liang Yang stared in question. Zhang Yi asked, "What else?" Liang Yang replied, "Huh? What else?" Zhang Yi sneered, "They didn't give you any other orders?" "No." Zhang Yi's brow furrowed deeply. "They didn't tell you to find out our secrets and send them to Xinjiang?" Liang Yang shook her head. "No, they probably have other plans. But these are the only orders I received. Furthermore, from the perspective of an elite dragon guardian, sending me to be an undercover agent is extremely unwise. First, the target is too obvious and it's extremely easy to be exposed. Being sent here from Xinjiang will definitely attract the attention of you and the people around you. Second, Tianhai City's intelligence network is world-class. If I wanted to send information back to Xinjiang, it would be almost impossible to escape your watchful eyes. If they really wanted to find out information about Tianhai City, the best way would be to find an inconspicuous person to carry out the undercover mission." Zhang Yi sat up straight and looked at Yang Shinshin. "Shinshin, what do you think?" Yang Shinshin said, "She's telling the truth. With my abilities, she couldn't possibly be lying." Ling was an existence that was already godlike, and Yang Shinshin's abilities were unable to break through her psychic barrier. Liang Yang was no match for her arrows. But is that the only purpose of doing this? Even Zhang Yi thought it was a bit far-fetched. Yang Shinshin said lightly, "Sneak in with the wind and moisten things silently. Silent infiltration is the highest level of action. The Xinjiang region's actions this time can be understood as a gesture of goodwill." Zhang Yi said dismissively, "Cooperation is fine, but cooperation is only based on mutual benefit. So far, they can't offer me much help. What I want most is information about the dragon clan of the Qinling Mountains." He raised the corners of his mouth. "They wouldn't share that with me, would they?" Zhang Yi stared at Liang Yang. "Brother, sister, is that right?" Liang Yang shook her head. "At my level, I don't have access to that kind of information." Yang Shinshin continued, "If you want to contact the Xinjiang region, what methods do you have?" They had to rule out the possibility that the other party had been specially trained to evade questions. For example, the Xinjiang region did not allow Liang Yang to steal information, but would use other methods to pass important information about Zhang Yi's team back to them. For example, they could inquire about Zhang Yi's eating habits, their water source, food, and supplies. Then they could pass this information on to an intermediary, who would relay it back to Xinjiang. Liang Yang thought about it for a moment and replied, "If we want to contact them, we can just use communication devices." She smiled slightly and said, "But here, it's impossible for any intelligence to bypass your intelligence network, isn't it?" The legendary military strategist of Tianhai City, Miss Yang Shinshin, the Queen Mother of the West. After the Battle of Chernobyl, Yang Shinshin finally appeared before the world, letting everyone know how powerful she was. In particular, her strategy in the final stage, where she sacrificed one piece but gained the advantage, was breathtaking. This allowed her to emerge from years of hiding. A submarine dragon does not lie in the depths, but is seen when it surfaces. Therefore, she was officially given the mythical code name Queen Mother of the West. Yang Shinshin's computer skills were definitely world-class, and no one could break through the Tianhai City information network she had built with her own hands. What's more, she had the help of Liu Karen, a mechanical genius, who was completely ahead of the rest of the world in terms of hardware systems. Yang Shinshin continued to ask if Li Yangyang would pass on information to the outside world by other means, but found that this was not the case. After confirming this, Xang Yi was convinced that Li Yangyang had not come here as an undercover agent. Meng Yuanjun and Ho Tu were not stupid, they would not plan an undercover agent so blatantly. It was more about getting close and currying favor. So, the real reason Li Yangyang came here is actually... Yang Shinshin looked at Xang Yi, and the two said in unison, to marry into the family. It sounded a little ridiculous, but that was indeed the case. Xang Yi stood up from his chair and said lightly, in that case, she can stay. Yang Shinshin nodded. Of course. At this point, she slowly raised her right hand, and the angel's arm overlapped with her right hand, pointing into the air. Then, golden starlight flashed between her fingers and began to write in the air. If you betray Xang Yi and his team in any way, the moment you have the thought, even before you act, your life will end. A line of golden characters appeared in the air, then turned into a golden arrow. She placed the arrow on the longbow, pulled the bowstring with her own hands, and aimed at Li Yangyang. This is one of my abilities, the arrow of law. It will plant rules in you, accompany you throughout your life, and become the first commandment of your life. Once you break it, your fate will be as written in the text, and your life will be taken away. Li Yangyang's expression hesitated for a moment. After all, no one could guarantee what would happen in the future. However, her expression quickly relaxed. She knew very well that she had no right to refuse. The arrow shot straight into her heart, but Li Yangyang felt nothing. Yang Shinshin put away the fallen angel puppet's physical form, raised her finger slightly, and pointed at her, saying, "You can try it now. In your heart, think about killing me and Xang Yi. See if my ability is fake." Li Yangyang thought about it and decided to do as Yang Shinshin said, but she didn't dare to be too bold and only had a few bad thoughts. In the next moment, her pupils suddenly contracted and her breathing became slightly rapid. She hurriedly covered her chest because just now, she felt as if her heart was being squeezed by a large hand, almost crushing it. Above her heart, an invisible chain had firmly bound her life. This was the power of the oath. Moreover, it would accompany Li Yangyang for the rest of her life, unless Yang Shinshin came to release her with her own hands. Yang Shinshin's voice was emotionless as she said, "By the way, even if I die, it cannot be broken. It will even strengthen the power of telekinesis, making the bond even stronger." I understand." Li Yangyang calmed her breathing and even smiled. "I really want to join you, and I won't do anything to betray you." Only after making this assurance did Xang Yi completely put his mind at ease. He really needed a channel of communication with the Xinjiang region. However, being passive was not his style. Xang Yi smiled at Li Yangyang. "Now remember, you are one of us. So let me ask you, if I want to infiltrate the Xinjiang region and obtain their confidential information, what should I do?" This was Xang Yi. As soon as he saw an opportunity, he thought of how to take advantage of it. He was afraid that others would spy on his information, so he immediately wanted to play a counter-espionage game. Li Yangyang smiled awkwardly but politely. "That should be a little difficult. After all, only a few people know about the inner circle, and even the mutants who carry out missions don't have access to the entire intelligence chain. To get to them, you have to be at least one of the top-ranked members of the 36 heavenly spirits, or a member of the newly formed zodiac. However, it's not entirely impossible." She looked at Yang Shinshin. Miss Yang's abilities are still shrouded in mystery in the Xinjiang region. If she can control someone for a long time, then she might have a chance to target the upper echelons of the Dragon Guardians. The upper echelons of the Dragon Guardians? Xang Yi rubbed his chin, his eyes shining brighter and brighter. Right, why didn't I think of that? They've been hiding things from me all this time, it's time to teach them a lesson. He turned to Yang Shinshin and said, next time we call Shang Daowen out, let's shoot him with an arrow. Shinshin, can you turn him into your slave? Yang Shinshin said calmly, defeat him first, then let me shoot him with an arrow. Controlling him for a short time won't be a problem. But he'll regain his senses sooner or later, and then we won't be able to explain it to the Xinjiang region. The more powerful a mutant is, the more difficult it is to control them, and the shorter the control time. According to supernatural theory, supernatural powers come from spiritual energy and telekinesis. Therefore, the more powerful the mutant, the stronger their telekinesis, and the less they are affected by external rules. I see. Zhang Yi rubbed his chin. This matter was indeed not so easy to handle. He glanced at Li Yang, put on an affable expression, and smiled, all right, from now on, we are all brothers and sisters. I'll have Fatty Sue arrange a place for you to stay. He called Fatty Sue on his communication device, and the guy quickly rushed over. Boss, are you done talking? Fatty Sue smiled, but his eyes kept glancing over at Li Yang. Fatty Sue wasn't stupid. He quickly realized that Zhang Yi was testing Li Yang, so he couldn't help but feel a little nervous. Seeing that Li Yang was fine, he breathed a big sigh of relief. Zhang Yi said, from now on, we're all family. Go arrange a room for yourself. With that, Zhang Yi opened his dimensional space and pulled out a complete set of furniture from the huge warehouse and threw it on the ground. Among them was a large, soft bed. Don't say your big brother doesn't take care of you. This is all top-notch furniture, especially this bed. It's very durable.